Hey YouTube, my name's Tyler, one of the creators behind the Kingdoms trading card game. If this is your first time watching any of the content on this channel, thank you so much for watching. If you are one of the subscribers and have watched content before, thanks again for clicking on this video. And again, my apologies for such a large time gap between actually posting videos and not. But if you guys saw last week I posted a tournament video where I just kind of did some commentary on what was going on, and that's actually what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing commentary. This was at the latter half of the tournament where we're actually in the single elimination tournament portion. In this match, it is me again versus Skyler. We were both playing with Furbish Cludes mix. He was playing predominantly with Cludes with a little bit of Furbish in it, and then I was playing predominantly Furbish with a little bit of Cludes in it. And so let's go ahead and jump right into the match, and we'll go ahead and see what happens, and stay tuned for the end of the video where I'll give you some other things on what's going on with the card game. So going in this match, Skyler was already having a pretty good run into the whole deal. He was kicking butt. I think he'd only lost one game against a Silvermore player, which, you know, it's interesting seeing the different kingdoms work against each other. It's kind of like a rock paper scissors type deal. So I forget who ended up winning the toss, the coin toss, but it appears, whatever the case is, Skyler's going to go first. So Skyler's strategy was to do a phase 1 tribal wagons, which was one of the sacreds that he picked, and then he just immediately can search for the cards that he's wanting to search for. And so he typically is searching for, you know, some of his Cludes spells such as pillage or whatever, and also doing you know, such a resource manager, which is his go-to card to set up a good phase 2 turn, and which is what he just searched out right now. Resource Manager, unfortunately, is probably a card that's going to have to get banned after a while. It's just too good of a card. It pays for itself way too fast, too easily. It's not a very well-balanced card. All right, so I'm taking my turn, and I got to try to get a good turn because he had a pretty explosive turn. He's bound to have that with his tribal wagons. You can see he had that 4 token that he was able to put down. So I'm running Downtown Pub as my turn 1, as my phase 1 card, hoping to give him less Magicka, but unfortunately he was able to work completely around that because, you know, he was still able to search for what he wanted to search for, and just doesn't help. I unfortunately didn't have enough Magicka to do anything that I wanted to do, which is quite a bummer. And actually, now that I think about it, it was because he played Pillage on me, giving me less Magicka for my 1 turn. So that really stinks, because the whole purpose and strategy of my deck was to give him minus Magicka, and here he's doing it right back to me, so he's already set me back a whole turn. So here he is, just searching out another resource manager, again just stacking up his hand. The best strategy against this deck was to attack it fast, which my deck is not built for, and unfortunately, even though I've made the game, doesn't know I know how to make the best build. So at this point, finally have enough Magic to play a token. I'm going to lay down a Master's Table because I need to get some Magicka. Thankfully, he has no cards on the field, so I'm okay right now not getting any battle cards out in the field since we're both kind of laying low. And especially because we're playing from the same spirit. Mriff, I know what cards he has. He doesn't have any hard hitters. He's not going to be able to lay down a Lancer or, you know, lay down any other powerful card that's going to be able to smash me. Okay, so he's going to play a Telling of the Myths. Telling of the Myths allows him to... sorry, I'm just trying to find the card. Not finding it. I'm sorry, guys. All these set 2 cards are still so fresh, so I can't remember exactly what all the cards do. If I find the graphic, maybe I'll put up on the screen for you guys. One thing that kind of helps with this whole match is the fact that, you know, there's not a lot of explaining that has to go on, in the sense of, you know, we already know what cards we're playing.
That gives you 4, right? It gives me 3 my first one. And then I forgot
So thankfully, I was able to set down a 4 token. So now if he plays another pillage on me, I'm going to be just fine because I'm going to have plenty of magicka. And so that's going to give me 13 magicka every turn. So he's still at -2 for my downtown pub, but because he has that 4 token, really doesn't matter. See, now at this point, Tribal Wagons has already fulfilled its duty by searching out all the resource managers that he's trying to find. So really at this point, it's just icing on the cake for him because he can continue to search out any Cludes card that he wants to. So he's going to play Plumella, Voice of the Pure, which unfortunately for the instant ability that she has, he can't get any card draw off of that.
This has been like 8 turns of just passing. I know.
So right now we're both just kind of passing turn, getting everything ready. But what stinks is he's been able to stack his hand with the cards that he needs. So thankfully I got enough magicka. So thankfully I'm able to get out a Nomadic Soldier, got 300 attack, bring out Cludes or Furbish Counselor, give my Cludes Warrior plus 100 attack. So now my Cludes or my Nomadic Soldier sitting at a 400, 300. So maybe I'll swing in for 600, which, you know, it's good. If I can kill a Sacred, then that's all right. But the hope is that I can start swinging in to start dealing some more damage. Again, at this point, Skyler's already been able to get his hand to where he wants it, you know, and great. So he just milled 2 cards to his graveyard. He just sent Time Scribe to the graveyard. So he's already sitting in a better position. He has all the cards that he needs in his hand. He's got a Time Scribe in his graveyard, which just stinks because if I'm going in for a killing blow or just an attack that will definitely prove to be in favor for me, he's just gonna be able to Time Scribe it and end my attack phase completely. And now here he is sitting comfortably with 2 4 tokens. So we're both at a bunch of magicka, a huge magicka base, which for any Murph player, that's exactly where you want to be. So thankfully I got those 2 battle cards out in the field, but still they can't do a lot. And just with our builds, phase 1 you can't do much. The cards that I have out are really the most that you can do anything with. I mean, you could put out a Prison Guard, but, you know, it's only a 300, 200 with Silence 1. So, you know, that's why I opted for using Nomadic Soldier, and especially with Skyler using a Cludes deck, you know, he's not going to want to run Prison Guard. He's got plenty of other better cards that he could be using. So now he's got slightly too many cards in his hand, so he's just getting rid of cards, but that's just no problem because he has all the cards that he needs. I'm able to get a 2-neep out, which I'm glad because I was running 3 or 4 spirits in my deck to guarantee that I was going to get to one of my spirits in time. 2-neep's instant ability is the main reason why I run it, being able to just draw 2 cards for free. And then the impact ability, the second one, allows you to play spells for cheaper, which I don't use that ability a lot, but sometimes it does come in handy, being able to play some spells for a lot cheaper. Or if I know my Sacred is going to get destroyed, it kind of sets me up for a good following up turn. So I just killed his Sacred, which is great, you know, getting in phase 2. But now he's got 13 magicka, and here's where he just drops all these resource managers. And this is where he really starts to get going with his deck. It really starts to explode. So just watch this. So he's going to lay down 1 resource manager. And now, because the resource manager's broken just stats, resource manager gives him gift 3. So basically, the resource manager only costs 1 magicka, and now it's also going to make his other cards cost cheaper.
That's the name of the game, and the flags indicate what kingdom they're a part of.
Alright, so we're playing resource manager.
So just play that first resource manager.
That's a Winterton deck.
And then he's going to play the next 2 because I believe he has the other 2 in his hand. And then he has all the Cludes spells that he wants to do stuff with. So this is exactly where he wants to be. He has enough magicka to do anything he wants. He would have essentially enough magicka to just play a Lawful Knight, possibly 2 if he wanted to.
Yeah, neutrals can be played with that before. Yep.
Alright, so play this. It costs 4.
Yep.
And then it gives us 3, so we'll go to 12.
Okay.
We'll play a second resource manager.
Yep.
Because that's a go to 1. We'll
And then
go down.
Usually for a Cludes player, if they're able to get to Sacred Phase 2 comfortably and able to get the cards that they need in their hand, their turn ends up being at least a minute or 2 because they're able to do a bunch of stuff.
1, 2.
So he's going to play Successful Hunt. Successful Hunt is an amazing card draw card. One of my more favorite cards to use as a Murph player. And he's able to draw 5 cards. So he's already been able to search out a bunch of cards with Tribal Wagon. And then he's able to just abuse the effect and the abilities of Resource Manager. Then play Successful Hunt, able to draw a bunch of cards. And now his hand is just loaded. His hand size has been increased, so he has everything that he needs just to kick some butt. He has a community assembly in there, so if he wanted to, he could take a second turn. He's got a Ula the Rebel, so he could clear some cards out, which that card is extremely good. He's got everything that he needs. What I really need right now is some firepower, but being in phase 1, I can't do much. So really, he's kind of in the position where he can set himself up even more for success, and then, you know, just lock me out, and so I can't do anything, and he's constantly playing on the offensive. So he's going to play a Cludes Warrior, and he's going to silence some cards on my side of the field. And he's also going to make me have -1 Magicka as well.
Playing for 3. Sounds too. Those 2.
Oh, boss. That's annoying. That's Linford. That's a set 1 kingdom. So these are all set 2 kingdoms. Winterton is the same. It's kind of the same play style as your Linford deck. Winterton is the purple and orange deck. It's kind of the same.
When I get to phase 2, the hope is that I can start getting some card draw cards, so I can just start getting some more cards, because I have plenty of Magicka to do stuff with. But, you know, phase 2, at least I'll have Temple Judge. Temple Judge is a good hard-hitting card. I will have a Wash Away, so I can get rid of some cards, send them in the graveyard. So Skyler does bring out the Ula cards, making me have to bring 2 cards back in my hand, which truly stinks, because now that just sets me behind. Because even though I have 13 Magicka, you know, now I gotta spend that 13 Magicka on those cheap cards that were really just helping set up myself for a better turn. Now you see he has a lot of spells in his hand, but these are all great cards. He has another Successful Hunt in his hand. He's got the 2 Pillages, just making me have less Magicka. He's got everything that he needs. He still has plenty of cards in his deck. You know, he's got a lot of cards in his graveyard, but it really doesn't matter. He's got 2 of the Summoner Calls, so if for some reason in having to discard cards, he can easily bring a card back. So he can do whatever he wants.
Next turn.
I have -2.
Next turn.
Okay, so I just have the -2.
You have -3 from him as well.
-3.
So I have -3 Magicka, which is going to put me at 10 Magicka to use.
And you said -3?
No, 2, 1. So far.
Now I'm at 3. Okay.
Successful Hunt for 5.
Wow. So he's going to play another Successful Hunt, draw 5 cards. So he's just setting up his turn. This is just crazy.
I'll let you know.
I'm sorry.
I'll let you know.
He's got another Ula in his hand. Man, he is just stacking up his hand. Man, it's crazy. No wonder. I'm sure the way I'm talking is giving away the way this match turned out. It's just interesting watching it from this perspective. Just seeing, like, man, I had no hope going into this.
Orange and gray flags, which those are set 1.
Again, if you guys are watching, you're new to the Kingdoms game, the whole purpose of Kingdoms, the whole goal in playing Kingdoms is that you play one-on-one versus another player, and your goal is to destroy your opponent's 3 sacred cards. In the game, there's 3 spirits. You have Mrith, Tanis, and Borum. And from those spirits, each of those spirits have different kingdoms that represent their playstyle. So Borum, for example, is an aggressive spirit. So the kingdoms that come from that spirit are aggressive. They're hard-hitting, and those are the kingdoms of Linford and Winterton. Tanis is more defensive, and so the kingdoms that she makes resemble that nature, being defensive, which are Estercrest and Silvermoor. And then the spirit of Mrith, which is the spirit that both Skyler and I are playing as, they're supposed to be very tactile or adaptive, and really controlling is how they're supposed to play, which I have found in creating the card game. It can be a little difficult making that function correctly. In set 1, Furbish did not do it very well. They had a couple of cards that were super good that, you know, definitely made a lot of other people complain. So set 2, to try to kind of counteract that, was way on the opposite end of the spectrum, and Cludes performed really powerfully. In the previous 2 tournaments that we've done so far, where we've had about 12 to 16 people on average playing in the tournament, so a pretty good sample size of games that are being played. Furbish has never went up really high. I think Furbish did go top 4 in the first tournament we did. After that, the second match they didn't go very high. Second tournament. This third tournament though, we had a Cludes Furbish take second and also third. So really represented well, with Linford and Borum taking top for the whole tournament. So I'm at -4 Magicka for my turn, going into my phase 2. So I got plenty of cards in my hand. I got 11 Magicka, but I got nothing. I mean, I could do Council Board Member. You know, that would get me out an extra card if I need that. You know, he's saying it's because he's got Ula out, which has 500 attack, so he's going to be able to kill quite a few of my cards. I don't want to silence him.
Judge Guard, silence one. I will silence him.
So I do bring out Judge Guard. It's 500, 500. I do silence Ula, though, so that way I know my guy won't die. So now I'm playing the Council Board Member. I love Council Board Member. I don't like playing it Phase 2. I ideally like to play it at Phase 3, so that way I don't, you know, reveal a battle card that I can't play. The thing that was difficult with my deck was the goal in the build was to make it where my opponent had no Magicka and was drawing a lot of cards. So essentially, I'm just making them run out of cards and that they can't do anything. But what was difficult was I didn't build the deck really well. It tried to do too many things, and it was too slow at doing it. And the cards that I were using hurt me just as much as it hurt my opponent. So it really didn't do much. I remember I played another match against someone that was using Library, and just because of the way that the effects worked on those respective cards, it really didn't work to my advantage. So definitely a build that I want to try to rehash out. And I'm thinking that maybe once the next set comes out, Small Yet Powerful, which will be a subset, and then the next major set, hoping maybe some cards, we can come up with some cards where that would maybe make that a more viable strategy. So I passed turn. I did not attack because he has Skylight Fountain out, which I can't do anything with. So now he plays his turn, and he has 17 Magicka, which is just insane. So he's going to play Inclination, which is going to allow him to search out a Marif-specific card. Specifically says, search your fortress for a Marif spell. So he can search for any spell. Again, he's just searching for a Cludes spell.
I don't know, it's your game.
Okay, so I asked him about how many cards he has in his deck. So this is where I started getting a little excited in the match. I started getting hopeful. He was doing a lot of flashy stuff. But in doing all that, he is drawing so many cards. And the thing is, though, is that Cludes and Furbish, they don't have, specifically Cludes, they don't have a lot of firepower. They don't have a lot to hit with. So really they're doing like a lot of fancy stuff, but they don't hit hard. Now he has Eni the Scoutsman out, which can kind of give them some attack values, and then you can play cards such as Tribal Meeting, which can make the strength of cards be a lot better. But he really doesn't have a lot. So yeah, the struggle, so for him, he's trying to just do all this fancy stuff, stall the game as much as he can, and eventually lock me out, which he successfully is doing, especially using that Eni the Scoutsman because he's got me locked down. But my goal is to mill him out, and so he's drawing so many cards, and so I asked him how many cards he had in his fortress, and he only has 7 cards left. So if I could last just long enough, then I could do it. But you can see he's already dealt a lethal blow, and I open up with Skylight Fountain for phase 3. So thankfully I got 3 cards out in the field. I do have plenty of Magicka, so I got stuff I gotta do. I see I got the Light Warden in my hand, so that's a heavy hitter. I do have a Lawful Knight, so I could whip that in. I could take a second turn, so I have a lot of options. But unfortunately, he's just making me have a bunch of less Magicka. So I am at 11 Magicka. I do have that Rest from Warfare, so that could potentially stall one more turn, making him having to draw one more card, potentially mill out. It's just so tough. You know, he's already played a Ula, but I don't know how many Ulas he's running. The thing with Ula is it could just swipe the field, and he could just clearly swing at Skylight Fountain.
Wait, so you'd be at 10. So 4, 4, 5, 13.
Yep.
-2. -1.
Sorry about that.
So 10.
So I'm sitting at 10 Magicka, again, because I forget about that Traveling Caravan. Again, I think it's a good card, but here it's hurting me. It's not making it good for me.
The Light Warden for 8.
Man, watching my deck perform, it really was a stinky build.
There's 2 more seconds.
I'll silence these 2.
So at least the Light Warden allows me to silence 2, so of course I'm going to prevent his 2 highest hitting cards from attacking. He's got another Ula in his hand though, so he's going to be able to do whatever he wants. He can Summoner's Call the Ula that I potentially kill. There's just so much that he can do. It's really crazy. This is where Washaways would be really handy. If I could make him discard some cards, that'd be really nice. So I do kill the Ula.
Trust you, Austin, don't worry. But thank you. And your cards have -100, 100 by the way, when this card's on the field.
And I haven't dealt any damage to his Sacred since I've gotten him to phase 2. It's just so difficult. See, this is where kingdoms such as Winterton would come, be good. Because Winterton can just deal damage directly to a Sacred. And it doesn't count as an attack. So right now I'm just choosing what cards that I want to get rid of.
And we're going to trade.
So I'm kind of clearing the field, which was both a good and a bad decision. Good because I'm getting rid of the cards that can swing in, kill my cards. However, unfortunately he has the Ula in his hand, so it's open up the field for him to do whatever he wants to do.
I think I win.
So he's got so much Magicka right now. He's sitting at 16 Magicka right now.
16.
So he's got an Ula in the hand. So
And these are 5. So we'll bounce these.
Yeah.
And Summoner's Call to Ulan Grave. Bounce 2.
Good game, dude.
man, and there he goes. He Summoner calls out Ula the Rebel, and that is the game. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this gameplay video. I would really appreciate some comments on the video to see if you liked the commentary on it or not. I know commentary is something that's difficult to do sometimes to make it where it's actually palatable to watch, but I also hope that in watching the video, you guys were able to get some ideas and also learn how the game works. During this kind of COVID-19 situation that's going on right now, I'm hoping to get to updating the Game Crafter store for all the Kingdoms products for both Set 1 and Set 2, starter decks and booster packs, and possibly some of the game mats. You can also go to the Facebook and the Instagram page and the website as well if you want any information on the game to see what's going on, what things are in the works, and also get some information on how to play different special rules, and also maybe some deck profiles on some of the winning decks at the tournament. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. Thanks.